Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Carlo Perza MMA. Today I'm with a reoccurring guest. He was on the show a few months ago, did some big things on the Dana White Contender Series, and now he is part of the UFC family. He is making his UFC debut, taking on a short notice fight here, taking on Mansur Abdul Malik, February 22nd, Seattle. He is Mr. Blue Collar himself, Nick Klein. Nick, what's up, brother?
Not a whole lot, man. What's going on with you?
Not much, man. Good to talk to you again. Really excited. Saw that you stepped up, got to fight Mansur. Really happy about that. Awesome fight. Both you guys on a tear early in your career. Where were you? Where were you at when you got the phone call that, hey, you want the short notice opportunity?
I was actually at my day job. Was working union construction and stuff, kind of in between fights here, just waiting for something to be lined up. And I actually was just on my lunch break when my coach called me, and I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And I went in the trailer and told my boss, that was on a Thursday. I said, "I'm working tomorrow, and then I'm done until after this fight." So,
With in this day and age, if you want to be a professional athlete, if you want to be a professional mixed martial artist by the highest level, I think you have to train year round. I mean, I don't think there's really such thing as a short notice fight anymore because guys need to be trained 5, 6 days in the gym. Do you agree?
yeah, absolutely.
And for you, obviously such a blue collar guy coming from that construction background, a lot of success right now with the Contender Series. You got to get your popularity out there. Your name got out there. A lot of people know who you are. What has it been like going back to the real world since then?
Um, Really not a whole lot's changed, man. Just a couple extra Instagram followers. I kind of like just going back to my day job, just going back to regular life. I think it just helps keep me grounded and stable. So yeah, I really just returned to regular life, went right back to work, and was just training after work. And then I was just waiting until the call came in that I could stop my day job and just prioritize the training in the fight camp.
He took off Geraldo Souza, huge upset. Last fight of the Contender Series. You're a very, very big betting underdog coming into the contest. What was it like after the weeks, 2 weeks after that? Was the attention crazy?
Yeah, there was a lot of people reaching out. There was a lot of Instagram messages. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. I think I just kind of shocked the MMA community a little bit, um, and it was kind of cool to make some waves the way that I did. Really, just did a couple extra interviews. Like I said, had a couple extra Instagram followers, and went back to regular life, man. Just training and working and waiting for that UFC call to come through to hone in on camp.
I know you and your wife stayed in Vegas for a little bit after that. What was the celebration like?
Honestly, man, we kept it pretty simple. We stayed at the same hotel that the UFC put me up in, and really just caught an extra day there to sit in the sun. And I kept my phone off for a lot of it, and just away from all the social media stuff, just so me and her could relax and have a beer or two and sit by the pool. So it was nice.
In addition to yourself, your Pura Vida gym, your Pura Vida family making a lot of noise. Obviously, Cortavious Ramos, another guy in the UFC. Zach Ottow, former UFC guy, like 8 fights, one of the head coaches over there. What's so special about that gym?
I don't know. I think it's just a kind of in my opinion, a large family aspect. In terms of the way the gym functions, where everybody trains with everybody. There's no. We've got Montel Jackson over there too. And on any given day, you can walk in and see all of us training with each other. Flyweights training with light heavyweights and heavyweights. There's no name is too big to come into regular class and just be part of the regular general population class. Everybody's just kind of thrown into one little melting pot over there, and I really like that because it really helps you work something that doesn't work a technique that's kind of tougher to do against a high level guy. You can work it against some of the gen pop guys and then slowly apply it to better and better and better fighters. And yeah, man, just a tight knit gym, and everybody's looking after each other.
No, it's so great. Your story is absolutely insane. I mean, before you found the Contender Series, you had a fight already booked, I think in Iowa or something. You were going to fight. You get this huge opportunity. How long did it take to really sink in that you were signing the UFC?
Um, I mean, I don't. It still hasn't really sunken in. I mean, it's kind of strange. You know, I kind of envisioned it for years and years, right? And it's cool to see how personable everybody from the UFC is. It's not like you don't really get like automated emails or anything, to just like fill this out or that out. It's actual people giving you a call or texting you or something like that. Like it's a very in-person company, which is cool. And just really happy to be part of that organization. I don't think it's really going to set in until I walk out to that octagon, and I think I had told this to another interviewer earlier, like maybe last week or something, but I don't think it's really going to set in until I see the shorts, the fight kit with my name on it. That's kind of been one thing in the back of my mind since I got into this, seeing all these athletes with their own fight kit with their name printed right on it. I think that's going to be a pretty big moment for me.
What were the reactions like from your kids when you were able to come home? Were they at school saying their dad's in the UFC and everything like that?
No, I'm Superman to them no matter what, man. They don't care if I win or lose or nothing like. It's not going to really set into them until they get a little bit older. My oldest is only 6, and win, lose, or draw any fight, I'm still Superman to them. So
you're making your debut now officially. You get a huge card, man. Seattle, you get a big crowd, very big card, a lot of big names on it. Does that excite you?
Yeah, I'm excited for any fight, man. Anything in the future is kind of just that next carrot being dangled in front of me, that I can kind of set my sights on. It comes with a lot of pressure, but also I kind of like that because it forces me to train that much harder. Whether it's in the Apex or a big arena, I don't really care. I am super excited just to go to a city that I haven't been to before. A couple people have told me Seattle's a pretty cool place to go. So I told my coaches, I'm like, while we're there, we got to check out that Space Needle and stuff, and maybe just wander around the city a little bit and just make the best of the trip, man. And enjoy the journey. So.
You're taking on Mansur Abdul Malik, guys. Already 1-0 in the UFC, one on your season of the Contender Series. Kind of funny. He was the first on the first show of the season, and you were the 10th, the last one of the season. So kind of a full circle moment here. What do you think of him as an opponent?
I've got a ton of respect for him, and his style as well as the gym that he trains at. I've been out to Extreme Couture. I got to see a little bit of how they function. It was like a summer or two ago. Really like that gym and really like to go back there at some point. What win, lose, or draw against this guy, I got a lot of respect for him and the gym. I know he's a tough opponent. I'm certainly not overlooking him, and I'm really just looking to come prepared.
It's kind of interesting when you look at this one. Both of you guys don't have tons and tons of pro experience. I think it's like 6 or 7 fights on both sides here. You do have a little more amateur experience than he does. Do you think that bit of experience can make the difference here?
I think it does and it doesn't in a way. I kind of felt that same way when against Geraldo Souza. Everybody was kind of like, "Oh, he's got more pro fights than Nick," and it's like, yeah, that's fine, man. But I kind of had like 8 or 9 amateur fights or something like that. I don't know. I think I was like 7-1 as an amateur. Whether it does or doesn't, I guess it's not really something I consider. I never look at a guy and be like, oh, I have more fights than him, I'm going to beat him. I really just, going into camp against anybody, just do the best to sharpen my tools and let my fight style do the work in the fight.
Speaking of the amateur record, one thing you're seeing in this day and age is, guys just want to hit pro. A lot of guys, it's hard for them to have that 10, 11, 12 fight amateur record before they turn pro. For anyone out there who's aspiring fighter, any of the guys that you're training with who are trying to make that level, do you feel like it's more beneficial? Take your time, do 10, 11, 12 fights before you make that decision?
I think it all depends who you are. If you look at guys like Bo Nickel, I think he only had maybe 1 amateur fight or 2 amateur fights, only a couple. And it becomes difficult to find guys on the amateur circuit that will fight somebody so tough. And that's a lot of times why guys make a pro jump. It's not because they're going to make a ton of money or anything like that. I can say with my gym, personally, my coach's kind of philosophy about it is to make you as good a fighter as you can before those wins and losses really count. So if there was a fight that you were going to lose as a pro when you could have made that development as an amateur, well, why not take that loss and sharpen that skill, refine that tactic and stuff as an amateur, as opposed to having pro losses, which we tend to say a loss will set you back at least a year. year and a half on on the regional scene. So we'd rather take him as an amateur and then go pro and have that amateur loss never even matter.
In addition to a great performance, you also dropped a great performance on the mic. I mean, that post-fight celebration, calling out Dana White, agreeing with him that John Jones is the better, tell him we're going to be in touch. Is this something we should expect from you in the future? Are we going to let that personality fly a little bit?
I that was pure adrenaline. I guess if you give me an adrenaline shot, that's what comes out of my mouth. I didn't plan on yelling anything into the camera after the fight or anything. I did plan on telling Dana we'd be in touch. I had talked about maybe making the John Jones line to him, but I wasn't going to do any of that unless there was a spectacular finish in order. I'm not going to fight to a split decision and then walk up to the cameras like I just did something crazy. But I figured with the way I just kind of shocked everybody, including myself, it would have been a good time to say a few words to just set myself apart a little bit more.
One thing I think was absolutely crazy. We talked 4 or 5 days before the fight, and I was like, "So what do you think of the guy?" And you're like, "Honestly, I haven't really done much research. I haven't looked at his record. I haven't watched any of his tape." In that situation, a lot of guys underestimated you. You were a very large underdog. Did you benefit off of fighting free, knowing that you didn't really have anything to lose in that position?
Yeah. So me and Zach, it flew out there. It got confirmed on like Monday night or something, and we left for Vegas the next day, right? So me and Zach were kind of out there all week, and at some point during that week, I just kind of looked at him and I'm like, it's almost better just to have a good performance and lose than to go out and win and be boring, right? And he agreed with me, and I'm like, I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
We were talking about.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of half listening to my kids upstairs right now, so it's kind of my attention's a little bit split. And kind of in saying that, to Zach, he just said to me, he's like, dude, you should feel super free going in there. He's like, because in all reality, you're not even supposed to be here right now. He's like, we have nothing to lose. He's like, all you got to do is just go out there and fight your fight, be exciting, and win or lose, they're going to, like, in the worst case, they call you back next season, or give you a short notice call up. And I really just took the whole experience with that mindset, was just go out there, be exciting, fight my ass off, do whatever I can to be remembered and set myself apart. And in the worst case, they call me back next season. So it like you had said, yeah, it was pretty freeing.
In this day and age, mixed martial arts has changed a lot from the last 10 to 15 years. And I think a way in which it's very entertainment driven. Obviously there's a lot more fan base watching this now, a lot of casual fans. And just because you're the greatest mixed martial artist in the world, it doesn't seem like that's always enough. You need to get the finish, knockouts. A lot of guys have personalities. Some pretend to be characters. They put on these facades. They're someone they're not. How do you take this? Do you feel like you have to implement some of it?
No, I think, and I guess I never really realized it until a couple people had said it to me. And I kind of just saw how I portrayed myself because I watched the Contender Series episode back once, and I watched my post-fight interview once as well. And I kind of agree just what other people have told me, that like just me being my authentic self is going to be enough to really get a following, because everything that I said, just the entire way I portrayed myself, all of that is actually me. So I really think just being genuine and authentic is going to win the people for sure.
To be a mixed martial artist, there's a lot of sacrifices. The casual fans look at it, they see the John Joneses, the Habibs, all the big names, and they're like, wow, these guys are millionaires. They have the greatest life ever. We both know you're losing money fighting on the regional scene. A lot of guys have a job like yourself, families, kids, wife. You have to pay to train, get up early, stay up late, miss birthdays, miss all this stuff just to do the dream. You've reached a point where you're making a debut in the biggest organization of the world. When you look back at it, is all these sacrifices worth it at this point?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's a mile marker, right, that nobody can take from me. I guess I wouldn't really consider it worth it until my house is paid off from fighting and I can make all these crazy renovations to my garage that I've got planned. All of the I guess kind of all of the bougier plans that I want to take care of, in terms of not having a house to pay, a house payment every month. That's going to make it well worth it. But going on Contenders and finishing the way that I did was a huge milestone for me that can never be taken away. No one can ever take that from me. If I lose in the UFC, there's going to be guys that are like, oh, he got fraud checked or the hype train derailed or what, all kinds of casuals will say that shit, but it does mean something to finally kind of make it this far. Now I just want to really set myself up financially and just kind of have a good legacy in the sport, be remembered in a good way, just being known as a hard worker, someone who never quit, someone who always just kind of stuck it out and worked hard for their dreams, and in end didn't have a mortgage anymore, and got to do a whole bunch of cool stuff to his property, kind of like Cerrone did, kind of have my own little version of the BMF ranch here. So
I think another thing that's a misconception from the casuals is they instantly think because you're in the UFC, you must be a millionaire, you must have made it. When you're first starting off in the UFC, obviously money, it's starting to come, but you're not making Conor McGregor money quite yet. You alluded to it. Not having the financial freedom piece yet. That's what we're striving for. You feel like you are now on that platform where your sole focus can be fighting, and that's what's going to take off your dream right now?
Yeah, that's a huge part. Like I said, I that's why the second the fight gets booked, I quit all of my other work and I just hone in on training. By the time if I go 4-0 on this contract, by the time I start my second contract, we're looking at decent money now. And you throw a couple performance bonuses in there, and it can become life changing pretty quick. Which is why the training needs to be intense, needs to be focused. The game plan for the fight needs to really needs to be brought to light while I'm in the cage and utilized, and just keep winning fights, be exciting, and the money's going to come.
Do you think this is the perfect opponent to be paired up in hopes of getting a bonus for putting on a performance victory again?
I think Mansur is going to be a tough fucking fight, man. I don't think he's I don't think he's overlooking me. I'm not overlooking him at all. I'll never look at a single guy in the middleweight division of the UFC and be like, oh, that guy's an easy fight. Everybody in the middleweight division brings one skill that deserves them fighting in the biggest promotion in the world, and that's not to be taken lightly. All of I hate when I hear, because I hear it a lot, man. I hear casuals all the time, like, oh, so and so sucks, or that guy sucks, or he's terrible. And like, actually, none of these guys are bad at all. And it's like, oh, so and so only had this record in the UFC. I'm like, you understand, just winning in the UFC is fucking hard. Like, it's not. None of this is easy. There's no bad fighters in the UFC, and no, I don't look at any of those guys as like, oh, that's an easy performance of the night. I just think, when I can hone my tools to their best, I can find finishes in ways that are going to impress people enough to give me that money. So,
we talk about casuals a little bit here. For the people who are not aware, casuals are the ones that are usually drunk. They're in the cheap seats of fights, Buffalo Wild Wings. They like to slide in guys' DMs, twist them in the your crotch sniffing, crotch humping, drive you absolutely crazy, me at least. How do you take these people? At the end of the day, do we just have to look at it? They're eyeballs, they're buying pay-per-views, they're putting asses in seats. It's good for us in the long run.
Yeah, I haven't really dealt with any of it personally yet. I didn't really give anyone any room to talk any shit. What can you say? What can you say bad about the way I went on? If I have a boring fight or two, I'm sure I'll have some people in my DMs talking shit. I don't pay them any attention, man. It's not worth it. At the end of the day, what do those people? What do I have to gain from paying them any attention? I'm glad that I'm glad that they're supporting the sport, because at the end of the day, they're kind of getting us paid in a way. They're bringing popularity to the sport. The more popular the sport gets, hopefully the more we can all get paid. So whether they hate me or not, yeah, I am thankful for them, but I don't really pay them too much attention.
From when you first started to now, has the goal changed for you?
I mean, the goal right now is just 4-0 on this contract. Let's get to 4-0, start making some serious money. Let's quit working construction and just help my friends on their side jobs and stuff, and prioritize training and hanging out with family.
Now, is staying active a big part of what you want to do this year?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I said, if in an ideal world, I finish this contract out in 2025. So this is one. I if I can get one within 2 to 3 months after that, and fight, I'm cool with one fight every 3 months this year, which would work out on the timeline so far. So
Are you looking at 25 essentially as the year where you really make your mark in the UFC, which then maybe sets up 26, cracking that top 15 and fighting the big boys?
um I'm just gonna take it one fight at a time, man. Right now, I'm not looking at names after Mansur. I'm putting everything I can into a camp to train for him, and goals change fight by fight. But right now, like I said, I really just want to take care of him, and we'll see what happens after that.
All right, Nick, last question for you, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome February 22nd when you take on Mansur Abdul Malik in your UFC debut?
I mean, an ideal finish, or an ideal fight's always a first round finish, no damage. Same way. If I can handle him the same way I did on Contenders, that would be ideal. But that's obviously what we keep in our hopes, but that's not what we're planning for. I'm planning for a tough fight, but anyone will take a quick finish.
Absolutely. Well, Nick, hey, man, thank you so much for talking to me again. Can't wait to watch you step in the cage. Really excited for the fight, and I wish you nothing but the best, my man.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Take care.
Absolutely. That's it for us tonight. I am Carl Prusa. That is Mr. Blue Collar Nick Klein. Stick around, fight fans. Awesome.